my favorite memories is going to be that I started bringing her clothes of mine, hand-me-downs. I love hand-me-downs. I love sharing clothes, and as she was losing weight and wanting more warmth, I shared clothes with her, and she was always so careful to be wearing something that I gave her. And she would just be so happy to show it to me, and it's just always gracious. I'm really going to miss her, but I can see her living on in all of you, and that's really special to see her.
Thank you.
You say I'm putting it in at 6:15 or whatever time it is, because that will help you remember what time it was you put it in the oven. And about 45 minutes later, we were putting on the next board, and we were faced with the dilemma of, do you put the board on so that it's parallel to the last board you put on, or level to the horizon? And I explained to Brian that you focus on level, which is the same logic to how you slice bread. And when you're slicing bread, every slice should be vertical. Don't try to make it parallel to the last slice. Make it vertical. And every time you slice, each slice should be vertical. And that's what
Tyrone Yates, my wife, tapped me just a minute ago and said, be sure and keep it short.
That's good advice for everybody. I think everyone.
But I can think of something that's short and sweet. Every time I would visit the house here, and Mrs. Wells was here, or out at Spooky Ridge, quality of saying, Mom, this is Tyrone Yates, my friend. Then her mom, Mrs. Wells, would look at her and say, Vic, you don't have to introduce him every time. I know who he is.
No over-introducing needed. That's sober.
So I had the pleasure of only meeting her one time. So I feel like a 1 and 1 and 1.
Keep it short.
No kidding. So, and it was sitting right here, and Vic had a dinner, and I had a chance to meet her that one time. And there was something about her that I knew that was going to be my only time.
Oh, really?
I did, because I knew, and I felt this urgency to also just get to know her. And I remember closing out every single person here. I don't really know if I spoke to anybody else here because I wanted to focus in on her so much. And it was like, and I felt like I could ask her questions of like her perspective on life and what she thought, and I think she felt like, to give me that bit of wisdom. So it was such a wonderful encounter, and I knew it was only going to be that one encounter, and it was truly a blessing for my life. She really was a blessing for everyone.
And I love that because it's like, that is life. We only have those moments, but it can be the best moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it really was.
I couldn't get away with anything. I couldn't get away. I would try, and when you mentioned the hands on the face, and I remember as a kid just trying to be all smooth talking out of getting done with chores or stay up past my bedtime, and I could not get it past her. She would hold you in those eyes, but it wasn't like mean stare like my mom stare with my kids now. No, she just was like, you're really trying this. She would let you keep going. Whereas when I told him I was coming here, he was like, oh man, Betty and Howie, they were cool people. So if you know my brother, that's a lot for him to say. But I mean, it's true, they were cool peeps, like they could transcend any social group, any demographic, any setting, and everybody said they commanded attention, not in a greedy way, but in like, I want to get to know them. I want to hear what they have to say.
And what I found out about Betty is she was boy crazy. And not only was she boy crazy, but the boys were crazy about her. So much that there was a reference of, her being on the phone and her minister father who, at nighttime he was ministering, and that was the way to connect with his flock. And he would find that Betty was on the phone, and she would kind of scurry away and he wouldn't get mad at her, but he was like, Betty, I need the phone. We come in with the wheelchair, he sees her, and he's like, Betty, I'm getting your coffee. And he goes over, gets her coffee. Is it too, he was worried that he poured it too high for her. So I'm just like, at 97, she's got game, man. She's got the boys catering, so.
And so not only that, she did that for a term or two. They offered her a full-time job. And so her ambitious daughter, it's like, to have my mom's professor at the community college. And she lasts 1 term, and then she goes back to part-time. And she said, I didn't like it. I didn't have any energy for sex. So I was like, okay. Work part-time and you have a good sex life.
What is more important?
Betty was married to my father's brother, so she was my aunt. And she taught me card games. She was patient beyond belief. Taught me wonderful. And I could almost sense that Aunt Betty would have loved this party. Like, she would have been holding court out here. So whether you have a glass or not, because I sense her presence here, let's hoist a toast. Hoist a toast to our lovely Aunt, Grandma, Betty, Mom, Nino. May she live forever.
Cheers. Well done. Franklin.
Yeah, I'm Franklin Wells. I'm Betty and Howard's oldest child. And two things I remember very fondly was making homemade marmalade and baking homemade bread with my mother. And very touched to have you all here.
Nice memory, right?
Whatever else. And we were college kids, we didn't care. But while we're eating, she then comes in the dining room and holds up the sweatshirt. It's like an extra large, maybe it says Tommy Hilfiger really big on it or something. And she says, all right, boys, which of you wants this? And they never kind of looked at each other. They all look at me like, are we supposed to take it? And after a moment, she's like, well, why don't you want it? I'm like, it's a really ugly sweatshirt. And I'm sure she got it for free. She definitely didn't buy it, but she thought for sure someone would want it. And but they never got a kick out of it. And I loved how much my friends connected with and really loved her, and she cared about them and loved them as well. But it's easy for like a grandparent to love your grandkids' friends, but it's weird for a bunch of teenagers to think that an old woman is fun. But everyone really liked her, and as John said, like, she would just hang out with us. We're playing games in the living room, we're watching a movie. She'd just be there too, and chiming in. And I think part of the humor that was great about her was her. She had this good self-deprecation. She enjoyed being teased about all of her quirks and could laugh at herself. And then would also tease me about my quirks and laugh at me. And I love that about her.
Your friends loved it.
And my friends loved it when she would tease me about stuff.
Those are great. Claire.
I'm Claire, spouse of Stu, mom of Wally, and this is Louisa Elizabeth.
A little louder.
Named after Betty.
So I met. I met Nino about a month after Stu and I started dating in D.C. She and Frank drove over to visit.
And Big Pop.
Was Big Pop there too?
He was there too, but something you forget.
And this was my first time meeting her, and I was very nervous. It was I was going to cook them dinner on Friday, so I left work early. I went and got like 2 fancy chickens. I was going to roast chicken. as Josie said, she, held my face and was like, yes, you'll do. And she loved that chicken dinner and still talked about it, every time I saw her. And she was...
It was her birthday, wasn't it?
All right. We've been together a while. I'm clearly forgetting some details. She was a great dinner guest, as always, and was so warm.
She loved Claire's hostessing and cooking. And,
Yes.
the way Claire would take care of her. I loved
You
it.
guys go skiing together because she would talk about you guys skiing.
We went skiing, but not with me. She's 90 years old.
When I was there, she had pictures of you guys.
We probably.
I also had a grandmother named Betty who died a couple years after we got married. And so I adopted Nino as my grandma to spoil. So I would bring her. Her favorite was I would mail her butterscotch chips. And she would keep them on the mantle. She was not very good at spoiling herself, so I couldn't do it.
Diana? I'm Diana Stewart Sinton. I am Betty's great niece. Her brother Don was my grandfather, Don Stewart. Her brother was Don Stewart Jr., and then my dad was Don C. Stewart III. One of my first memories, Betty has just been this figure my entire life. I just always adored her. But I do remember my husband and I had gotten married. We were in our late 20s. We were living in Western New York. And we had bought our very first house. And this was before internet, cell phones. I don't even remember what we had then. But somehow she knew our address. And she called or wrote or something and said, we'd like to come over and visit. It was like, wow. It was like, this is the first time as young adults having a house that like family's going to come visit you. This is really exciting. And I've heard this kind of pattern before. I mean, they loved to travel. They loved to visit people. They arrived at maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we had dinner with them, and they left promptly the next morning. It was a very wonderful visit, and just made us feel like we were we were adults, but she made us feel like, I don't know, just special, like real adults who would be able to have a house that would host family for a dinner kind of thing. And then another thing that much more recently that was great is our son Eric took a gap year after high school. He graduated in 2014 from high school, and that summer decided he was going to bike across the country from New York to California. And we looked at the map and tried to figure out places he could stay. And I said, well, where do you live? And Betty and Howie are there. And so I called Betty and asked whether Eric could stop by their house. And Eric had met her there before, but didn't really know they didn't know each other much. And sure enough, Eric rode his bike to Cleveland. And she and Howie and maybe Frank might have probably met them there. Eric, I think, stayed 2 nights there and then continued on. And Betty just was so excited about that entire thing. The rest of the summer, I was supposed to call her every few days and give her an update on where he was. And sometimes I would forget, and then she would call me and want me to know what the status was.
She would talk to us about Eric's
Oh, really?
visits. Eric's coming next week.
Eric left a pair of socks in my coat. And they were Mom's favorite socks.
They had elastic, probably.
They had elastic.